There comes a point in many lives when money feels like it controls everything. You work hard, but the numbers still do not add up. Bills feel heavier than your energy. Credit feels like a locked door. You lie awake at night, wondering if you will ever feel safe. This video is for that moment. It is a story about starting over when money feels broken. From the first minute to the last, you will hear what happens when someone faces the lowest point in their financial life. You will hear about the fear that comes when debt grows faster than income. You will hear about the shame that follows when payments are missed. You will hear how people begin again, step by step, even after bankruptcy, foreclosure, or job loss. This is not about fast tricks. It is about real healing and real rebuilding. By staying with this story, you will learn the truths that most people never talk about. You will see why money wounds from childhood shape the way you spend and save today. You will hear how families pass down beliefs that limit or free their children. You will learn why so many budgets fail and how to design one that is kind instead of cruel. You will understand how to create a safety net, even starting with only a few dollars. You will also learn how people repair their credit after serious damage. You will hear why small, consistent actions matter more than any shortcut. You will understand the two most effective debt repayment methods and why the right choice depends on your personality. You will see how insurance protects your progress and why skipping it can undo years of effort. You will hear how investing works for the long term and why starting earlier changes everything. This story will also show you what most financial lessons leave out: the role of shame, the fear of comparison, the secret thoughts that make you hide your bank statements. You will see how money stress affects your health, your sleep, and your sense of worth. You will hear about the emotional relief that comes from talking about money openly. You will learn why self-compassion is the missing piece in almost every financial plan. Each chapter in this journey is designed to slow you down and calm your mind. You will not be pressured or judged. You will be guided through moments of fear, reflection, and growth. You will see the shape of the financial fog. You will step into the wake-up call. By the end, you will not only understand how to rebuild, you will feel lighter, safer, and more at peace with money. So why should you stay through the end of this video? Because money is not only about numbers, it is about the stories we carry. If you listen, you will see yourself in the story of others. You will hear that the mistakes you thought ended your chances were only pauses in the journey. You will hear that wealth is not about perfection. It is about creating safety, freedom, and choice. And most of all, you will hear that it is never too late to start again. Think about the nights you have lost sleep because of money. The worry about rent, the fear of another bill, the guilt of spending when you knew you should save. Those nights have felt endless. But what if you had a story to listen to, one that showed you a path forward? What if you had gentle words that reminded you that your worth is not measured by your balance? This is why the next 2 hours matter. They give you space to rest, to breathe, and to rebuild from the inside out. This is also a story full of practical truths. You will hear why nearly half of Americans would struggle with a $400 emergency. You will hear why 47% of adults say money hurts their mental health. You will hear why millions carry medical bills on their credit reports. These numbers show you one thing: you are not the only one. And if so many people are rebuilding, you can too. There is also hope hidden in these pages. Hope in the way small savings grow over time. Hope in the way credit scores heal when bills are paid on time. Hope in the way debt shrinks when tackled with the right plan. Hope in the way a budget becomes freedom instead of punishment. Hope in the way community support replaces shame with connection. Every part of this story is designed to show you that your future can be different from your past. Stay to the end, and you will also hear about the myths that waste your time. You will see why using a debit card does not rebuild credit. You will hear why payday loans often trap people deeper. You will learn why credit repair companies promise more than they deliver. You will understand why budgeting does not mean cutting out all joy. And you will hear how to separate truth from myth so that your effort always goes toward real progress. More than anything, this story will remind you that financial life is not about a finish line. It is about steady, daily choices that build a life you trust. It is about forgiving yourself for past mistakes and choosing better each day. It is about caring for your future self as much as your present self. It is about knowing that money is not who you are, but how you care for yourself and others. Every chapter you will hear tonight is a soft step on this path. From the first call to adventure, to the moment of honest assessment, to the building of a safety net, to the creation of a future plan, you will be guided with care. Each part is written for your tired mind so that you can both learn and rest. Whether you fall asleep in the first half or stay awake until the last word, you will leave with more peace than you started with. So let this be your invitation. If money has ever made you feel small, let this story remind you that you are still whole. If debt has ever made you feel trapped, let this story remind you that freedom is possible. If shame has ever made you hide, let this story remind you that you are not alone. And if you have ever wondered whether you can start over, let this story remind you that starting over is the strongest thing you can do. As you settle into the chapters ahead, know this: you are the hero of this story. You are not waiting for rescue. You are writing the next part of your life. The steps may be small, the road may be slow, but the journey is real, and it begins here. And yet, before any rebuilding begins, there is always a moment that changes everything. A moment when the fog becomes too heavy to ignore. A moment when the quiet becomes too loud. What happens in that moment will shape everything that follows. The introduction spoke of the weight of money at night, the quiet fear that arrives when numbers do not match the life you hoped for. This first chapter begins right there, in the silence after the realization that things cannot go on the same way. Every story of starting over begins with a crisis. Not always dramatic, but always powerful enough to break through denial. It may come as a sudden job loss, or as the slow build of debt that no longer feels manageable. It may be the letter stamped with red ink, or the call from a creditor that leaves you cold. Whatever form it takes, the moment is clear. The life you lived until now has reached a turning point. The hardest part of this moment is not only the numbers on paper, it is the shame that comes with them. Many people are taught from childhood that money struggles mean failure. Parents argue in secret, or they tell children to never speak about bills outside the home. Over time, those lessons become silence in adulthood. When money slips out of control, that silence turns into self-blame. People hide their struggles, even from friends who care. The shame isolates, and the isolation makes the problem heavier. This is the invisible fog of a financial crisis, and it is what keeps so many from taking the first step forward. At first, there is resistance. The mind says, maybe it will get better on its own. Envelopes go unopened. Emails sit unread. The thought of facing the full picture feels unbearable. Yet the longer it is ignored, the louder the reminders grow. The overdraft fee appears. The phone rings again. Rent is due, and the paycheck already feels too small. Avoidance no longer protects you. It only stretches out the pain. In every hero's journey, there is a threshold that must be crossed. This is that threshold. The choice to stop hiding and to look directly at what is true. It is important to pause here and understand that this moment is not weakness, it is courage. Looking at a broken budget or a credit report full of marks takes strength. It takes more bravery to admit, I am not okay right now, than it does to keep pretending. This first step does not solve the crisis. It does something more important. It creates space for change. Until you admit where you are, you cannot take a step toward where you want to be. That honesty is the beginning of the path from zero to hero. Different people face different crisis points. For some, it is sudden and harsh, like being laid off without warning. The paycheck disappears, and every plan collapses overnight. For others, it builds slowly, like interests piling on a credit card or student loan payments that swallow every raise. There are those who face medical bills that grow faster than they can earn. Others see their marriage end, and their finances split in two. The details differ, but the emotional core is the same. A mix of fear, anger, regret, and exhaustion. These feelings are heavy, but they also show that you care. You care about your life enough to feel the weight of what is happening. In these moments, people often hear two voices inside. One is harsh and full of blame. It says, "Why did you do this? Why didn't you know better?" The other voice is softer, but harder to hear. It says, "I want something different. I want to feel safe again." The second voice is the call to adventure. It does not erase the shame or the fear, but it points toward hope. It says change is possible. Every person who has rebuilt their financial life has heard this voice. They have looked at their crisis and said, "I cannot live like this anymore." That decision is where everything begins. It is natural to feel lost at this stage. The way forward is not clear yet. You may not know what steps to take. You may not even know how much you owe or how much you earn each month. What matters is not having answers. What matters is being willing to stop running from the questions. The call to adventure is not about knowing the path. It is about being willing to step onto it. It is about being willing to say, I am ready to face this. For a moment, think of the person staring at the ceiling at night. They remember the times they spent money without thinking. They replay the purchases that now feel foolish. They count the months they told themselves they would start saving and did not. The thoughts are heavy and they hurt, but mixed into the pain is a small spark. It is the thought that life could be different, that one day they might sleep without this weight. That spark is what keeps them awake now, but it is also what will guide them forward. It is the light in the fog. This chapter ends with a shift. You began with fear and silence. You faced the crisis point, the moment when denial no longer protected you. You saw how shame and avoidance keep you stuck, and you began to hear the softer voice inside, the one that longs for safety and change. This is the true call to adventure. It is the invitation to leave the old patterns behind and to begin again. The numbers have not changed yet. The bills are still there, but something inside has shifted. You have chosen honesty. You have chosen to listen. Yet honesty alone is not enough to carry you forward. Once you admit the truth, another question rises. How do you step forward without drowning in shame? How do you treat yourself kindly enough to begin again without giving up? That question leads us to the next chapter, where self-compassion becomes the first real tool for change. The first chapter left us at the moment of crisis, the place where silence breaks and truth arrives. You felt the weight of bills, the sting of shame, and the soft whisper of hope saying life can change. That whisper is important. It is the spark that moves you from hiding to facing. Yet as soon as you answer the call, another challenge appears. You may know you need to change, but you feel buried under guilt. You wonder if you are too late. You tell yourself that if you were smarter or stronger, you would not be here. This is where most people stop. They hear the call, but they cannot move forward because shame feels heavier than the debt itself. The next part of the journey begins with kindness. Not kindness from others, but kindness you give to yourself. Financial self-compassion is the step that turns the call into action. Without it, every plan feels like punishment. With it, every plan feels like care. It is easy to think compassion means letting yourself off the hook. That is not what it is. Compassion is not an excuse. It is the fuel that keeps you moving when the path is long. Think about how you would speak to a close friend who made mistakes. You would not say they are worthless. You would say they are human. You would remind them that mistakes can be corrected. Now turn that voice inward. When you start again, you need a safe space in your own mind. If your thoughts are only full of criticism, you will burn out. You will make a plan, break it once, and then tell yourself you are hopeless. That cycle repeats until you stop trying. But if you begin with compassion, you allow space for progress that is not perfect. You can say, I will miss a step, but I will try again tomorrow. You can say, I am learning, not failing. That shift sounds small, but it changes everything. It lets you keep walking, even after stumbling. Financial self-compassion also means looking at your past choices differently. Instead of asking, why did I do that? Ask, what can I learn from that? Maybe you overspent because you were stressed. Maybe you ignored bills because they made you anxious. Maybe you borrowed because you did not know another way. Each choice carries information. Each misstep is a data point. When you treat mistakes as lessons, you can begin to see patterns. Those patterns teach you what needs to change. Without compassion, you stay stuck in blame. With compassion, you see the road forward more clearly. Small actions are the proof of this new mindset. You do not need to change everything at once. You can start with one gentle act. Open one envelope each day. Write down one expense in a notebook. Read one article about credit. These may seem tiny, but they are signals to yourself. They say, I am willing to care for my future. Over time, the small actions grow. They build confidence. They remind you that you are capable. The shame begins to fade because you see proof of change. You are not waiting for a miracle. You are planting seeds. Compassion also breaks the cycle of secrecy. Shame often keeps people silent. They hide their struggles from family and friends. They pretend everything is fine. But silence makes the problem heavier. When you practice self-compassion, you allow yourself to open up. You might share with a trusted person. You might write your feelings in a journal. You might even speak to a counselor. Each time you share, the shame loses power. You realize you are not the only one who has felt this way. You realize that money problems are not a reflection of your worth. They are challenges, like any other, and challenges can be faced. The first step in this chapter is also about forgiveness. Forgiving yourself for the choices you regret does not mean forgetting them. It means accepting that the past cannot change, but the future can. Forgiveness clears space for new actions. It quiets the harsh inner voice. It makes room for growth. Without forgiveness, you keep reliving the same mistakes. With forgiveness, you can look forward. You can begin to plan. You can take action without the heavy weight of old stories. Think about how it feels to take that first small action. The envelope is open. The numbers are written down. The weight is still there, but it feels a little lighter because you faced it. That is compassion in action. It is not about feeling good right away. It is about feeling steady enough to continue. Every hero's journey has this stage, the moment when the hero chooses not to run from fear, but to walk into it with gentleness. The moment when they stop treating themselves as the enemy and start treating themselves as the friend they need. This chapter also teaches you to see the bigger picture. Money struggles are not only about math, they are about emotion. They are about the way your brain reacts to stress. They are about the habits you learned as a child. Compassion helps you see this without judgment. You can say, I spent when I was lonely. You can say, I avoided bills because I was afraid. You can notice these truths without shame. That noticing is powerful. It turns confusion into understanding, and understanding leads to change. As you sit with this, feel how the tone has shifted. The crisis of the first chapter was heavy with fear. This chapter softens that fear with care. It does not erase the problem, but it changes the way you face it. You are no longer punishing yourself. You are supporting yourself. You are saying, I will try again tomorrow. This is the soil in which new habits grow. Without it, no plan will last. With it, every plan has a chance to succeed. The chapter closes with a question. You have begun to show yourself compassion. You have started to forgive, to reframe, and to take small steps. But once you feel ready, what do you do with the numbers? How do you gather all the scattered pieces of your financial life and see the full picture? That question leads to the next part of the journey, where you take inventory and map your financial landscape with honesty and clarity. The last chapter invited you to show yourself compassion. You learned to replace shame with kindness and to take small steps without harsh judgment. Now that you have begun to treat yourself with more care, it is time to look at the truth directly. Every journey forward requires a map. Without knowing where you stand, you cannot know where to walk next. This chapter is about drawing that map. It is about creating a clear picture of your financial life as it is today, so that you can begin to plan for the life you want tomorrow. This step often feels intimidating. Many people avoid it because they fear what the numbers will reveal. They imagine the debt is too high or the income too low. But the truth is always less frightening than the unknown. Numbers, when seen clearly, lose their power to haunt you. They become information instead of monsters in the dark. Facing them directly is an act of strength, not defeat. It is the moment when you step from fog into daylight. Begin by gathering your information. Take a quiet moment to collect everything that reflects your financial world. Bank statements, credit card bills, loan documents, pay stubs, and any notes of expenses. Place them in one space. This act alone is powerful. It takes scattered, overwhelming pieces and brings them together into order. You may feel nervous as you hold them, but remember the compassion from the last chapter. You are not here to judge yourself. You are here to understand. Once everything is gathered, start with the basics. Write down your assets. This includes cash in hand, money in checking or savings, and the value of any investments you hold. These are your resources, the pieces of security you already have. Then write down your liabilities. These are your obligations, like credit card balances, student loans, car payments, or medical bills. Add them together. Subtract your liabilities from your assets. This number is your net worth. For many, it will be negative at first. That can feel discouraging, but it is not a verdict. It is simply your starting point, the place from which you will grow. The next step is to track your spending. For at least a week, write down every expense. Do not change your habits yet. Do not cut or adjust. The goal is simply to see, Write each purchase in a notebook or type it into your phone. At the end of the week, look at where your money went. You might notice patterns you did not expect. Perhaps small daily purchases added up more than you thought. Perhaps subscriptions you forgot about still pull money every month. Seeing these patterns is not about guilt, it is about clarity. Every habit you uncover is a chance to make a new choice. Now, look at your income. Write down what you bring in each month from your job or other sources. Compare this to your expenses. Do you spend more than you earn or less? Many will find the balance is off. That realization is painful, but also freeing. It explains why the struggle feels endless. It gives you a clear reason for the stress you carry. Knowing this, you can begin to shift. You can see where small changes will matter most. This assessment is more than math. It is also emotional. As you list debts, feelings may arise: fear, guilt, anger. Let those feelings come without pushing them away. They are part of the process. Each number has a story behind it. A loan may remind you of school. A bill may remind you of illness. A card balance may remind you of times when spending felt like relief. Seeing these connections helps you understand yourself better. It shows that your financial map is not only numbers, but also memories and emotions. Once you have written down assets, liabilities, income, and expenses, you have built your first map. It may look simple, but it is powerful. It shows you where you stand. It shows you the mountains of debt and the rivers of income. It shows you the valleys where money leaks away unnoticed. This map is your compass. It does not solve the journey, but it gives direction. Without it, you would walk in circles. With it, you can move with purpose. Do not rush this stage. Sit with the numbers. Read them slowly. Notice the relief that comes with clarity. For so long, the unknown held power over you. Now you hold the facts in your hands. You may not like them, but they no longer hide from you. They are visible, and because they are visible, they can be changed. This is the quiet gift of assessment. It replaces fear with understanding. Many people find that after this step, their anxiety lessens. The numbers may be harsh, but the act of knowing creates calm. You no longer wander in the dark. You see clearly, and that sight allows planning. It may even bring small moments of pride. You faced what you avoided for so long. You took control of what once controlled you. That courage is not small. It is the mark of someone ready to move forward. This chapter has guided you through creating a clear financial picture, from gathering documents to listing assets and debts, to tracking spending and income. You have taken the first steps toward clarity. The map you hold is not perfect, and it will change as life changes, but it is your map, and it is enough to begin. Yet knowing where you stand is only the beginning. The next question is how to build a plan from this information. How do you take these numbers and design a budget that feels safe and kind instead of strict and punishing? That question leads us into the next chapter, where you will learn how to create a blueprint for your money that supports your life, your needs, and your peace of mind. You now have your financial map in your hands. The numbers are written, the debts listed, the income measured, and the expenses recorded. The fog has begun to clear. But a map by itself does not tell you how to move. It shows where you are, but not where to step next. This is where the blueprint comes in. A blueprint is not about restriction. It is about design. It is a plan that gives shape to your money in a way that supports you instead of punishes you. Many people fear the word budget. They think of it as a cage that limits freedom. They imagine lists of rules that take away joy. But a budget does not need to be that way. A kind budget is different. It is built with compassion. It starts with your needs, then makes space for your wants, and finally directs what remains toward your future. A kind budget does not scold you. It guides you gently, showing that money can serve your life instead of control it. The first pillar of this blueprint is necessity. Begin with what must be covered to live safely: housing, utilities, groceries, transportation, and health. These are the foundations of your life. Write them down clearly and know they come first. When these are paid, you secure stability. This is the ground you stand on. Without it, everything else shakes. A kind budget honors these essentials because without them, no other plan can stand. The second pillar is flexibility. Life is not predictable. Joy is not optional. A budget that leaves no room for fun will break under pressure. That is why flexibility is built in. This is the space for hobbies, meals with friends, small treats that bring comfort. The amount may not be large, but even a little matters. Allowing yourself these moments keeps you from feeling deprived. It keeps the plan sustainable. It reminds you that money is also there to support your happiness. The third pillar is generosity. And here, generosity means toward your future self. This is where savings and debt repayment live. It is easy to think of them as chores, but in a kind budget, they are acts of care. When you save, you give your future self peace in times of need. When you pay off debt, you give your future self freedom. Each dollar directed here is a gift to the person you will become. Thinking of it this way changes the way it feels. It is no longer punishment, it is kindness. There are different ways to shape this blueprint. One common method is the 503-020 approach. Half of income goes to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings or debt. This method is simple, and for many people, it works. Others prefer to assign every single dollar a job, a method known as zero-based budgeting. This way, nothing is left floating. Every dollar has a purpose, and nothing is wasted. Another approach is to pay yourself first by putting money into savings before spending on anything else. Each method has strengths. The right choice is the one that feels natural and keeps you consistent. The most important truth is that a budget must be realistic. Many people fail because they design based on an ideal month instead of a real one. They write numbers that do not reflect actual habits. They cut too deeply or set goals too high. Then, when life shifts, the plan collapses. A kind budget accepts the truth of your current life. It works with what you have, not what you wish you had. It can be adjusted over time, but it begins where you are. This is why compassion is so important. You are not writing rules to punish yourself. You are designing a plan to protect and support yourself. Tracking this plan is as important as creating it. Choose a simple way to follow your budget. For some, it is a notebook. For others, a spreadsheet, or even an app. The tool does not matter as much as the habit. Check in often, see if your spending follows the plan. If not, adjust. Do not see this as failure, see it as feedback. Every adjustment is another step toward balance. Over time, the budget becomes second nature. You no longer think of it as restriction, you think of it as rhythm. As weeks pass, you will notice a shift. Needs are covered, wants are enjoyed in measure. Savings grow slowly but steadily. Debts shrink little by little. The stress that once filled your nights begins to ease. The sense of control returns. Not control in the sense of perfection, but control in the sense of stability. You know where your money is going. You know that each dollar serves a purpose. This quiet clarity is the gift of a kind budget. This chapter is not about numbers alone. It is about the feeling that comes when money is no longer a source of chaos. It is about looking at your bank account without dread. It is about paying bills on time without panic. It is about enjoying a small purchase without guilt. These feelings are as important as the math, because financial peace is not only about wealth, it is about calm. And calm grows when your plan is gentle and clear. Now the blueprint is drawn. You have built a plan that respects your needs, allows space for joy, and cares for your future. You are beginning to see how money can work with you instead of against you. But a blueprint is only strong if the foundation beneath it is solid. That foundation is your safety net, the cushion that protects you from life's storms. This is the next step. How do you build an emergency fund that gives you security when the unexpected arrives? In the last chapter, you learned how to design a kind budget. A budget that does not punish, but guides. One that honors your needs, leaves room for joy, and cares for your future. With this plan in place, you can begin to breathe again. You see where your money flows, and you know how to direct it with more care. But even the best blueprint needs a strong foundation. Without it, one storm can knock everything down. That foundation is your emergency savings. Emergency savings are not about wealth, they are about security. They are the cushion that catches you when life throws something unexpected. A car repair, a medical bill, or a sudden job loss. These events come without warning. Without a safety net, they turn into crises. With one, they become challenges you can manage. The difference is not in the size of the problem, but in the preparation that meets it. Many people feel overwhelmed when they hear advice about saving 3 to 6 months of expenses. That number feels too high, especially when money is already tight. But building a safety net does not begin with thousands. It begins with what you have now. The first goal is small. Save $100, then $300, then $500. Each step matters. Each step builds confidence. With time, the fund grows larger, but the first milestone is the most important. The key is consistency, not size. Even $10 set aside each week makes a difference. Over time, those small amounts add up. They also build a habit. Each time you save, you tell yourself that your future matters, that you are preparing for the unexpected. It is not only the money that gives peace, but also the proof that you are taking care of yourself. Automation helps. If possible, set up a small transfer from your paycheck into a savings account. Treat it as a bill you pay to yourself. When savings are automatic, you do not need to make a choice every time. The decision is already made. This prevents the temptation to spend first and save later. With automation, saving becomes part of your rhythm, like paying rent or covering groceries. Some people resist building an emergency fund because they feel debt should come first. It is true that paying off debt is important, but without a cushion, you risk falling back into more debt when something unexpected happens. Even a small emergency fund prevents that cycle. It creates space between you and the next crisis. It gives you breathing room, which makes every other financial goal easier to reach. A safety net is more than numbers. It is also about peace of mind. Think about the difference between facing a car repair with nothing in savings and facing it with $500 set aside. In the first case, stress rises, and you may need to borrow again. In the second, you may still feel inconvenience, but not panic. The money is there, the problem is manageable. That peace is priceless. It turns fear into control. Building this fund requires patience. It will not grow overnight. There will be times when you save, then need to spend what you saved. That is not failure. That is exactly what the fund is for. Each time you use it, you prove its value. And each time you refill it, you strengthen your foundation again. Over time, the cycle becomes easier. Save, spend when needed, refill, and net stays ready, steady beneath you. This step also changes the way you see yourself. You begin to feel less fragile. You begin to feel capable of handling what life sends. You stop fearing the unexpected as much because you know you are not defenseless. This shift is powerful. It makes you more confident, not only with money, but in life. You trust yourself more. You sleep more easily. You walk through each day with a little less fear. The emergency fund also teaches discipline in a gentle way. It asks you to choose long-term security over short-term comfort. It asks you to wait, to prioritize, to care for the future. These are the same skills that will help you with every other financial goal. Saving is not only about money, it is about patience, resilience, and faith in yourself. Each dollar saved is a reminder of your strength. As your fund grows, you will notice something else. It changes the way you handle other goals. When you know you have a cushion, you approach debt repayment with less anxiety. You consider investing without as much fear. You even think about dreams you once thought impossible because you know you have a base of security. The emergency fund does not solve every problem, but it creates the stability that makes solutions possible. This chapter has guided you through the importance of building your safety net. You learned that it starts small, grows with time, and protects you from setbacks. You saw how it gives peace of mind and builds confidence. You understood that saving is not about deprivation, but about care for your future self. This is the foundation that supports every other step in your financial journey. But as your foundation grows stronger, another challenge rises. Debt, for many, debt is the heaviest weight. It lingers in the background, eating at every paycheck, taking away freedom. The next chapter will guide you through strategies to face debt with clarity and strength. It will show you that repayment is not only possible, but liberating. The last chapter helped you build your foundation. You learned why an emergency fund matters and how even a small safety net can protect you from being pulled back into crisis. With that base of stability, you are ready to face one of the most difficult parts of money: debt. For many, debt feels like a shadow that never leaves. It shows up in credit card statements, in student loan balances, in car payments, or in medical bills that grew over time. Debt can make you feel trapped. It can take away sleep and make every paycheck feel smaller than it should. But just like you built a safety net one step at a time, you can bring down debt one steady choice at a time. Debt is not only about numbers, it is about emotion. It can bring shame, fear, and regret. You may tell yourself you should have known better. You may feel angry that circumstances forced you into borrowing. These feelings are real, but they do not define you. Debt is a problem to solve, not a reflection of your worth. Seeing it this way changes how you approach it. It becomes something you manage, not something that manages you. And the key to managing debt is to choose a clear strategy. There are two well-known methods that help people pay off debt. The first is called the debt snowball. In this approach, you list all of your debts from smallest balance to largest. You pay the minimum on all of them, but you focus extra money on the smallest one. When that first balance disappears, you take the money you were paying there and add it to the next smallest balance. Each time you pay one off, the amount you can direct to the next grows, like a snowball rolling down a hill. The momentum builds. The strength of this method is emotional. You see progress quickly. Paying off even a small debt gives you motivation to keep going. The second method is called the debt avalanche. Here, you list your debts by interest rate from highest to lowest. You pay the minimum on all but focus your extra money on the one with the highest interest. Over time, this saves you the most money. You will pay less in interest and clear your debts more efficiently. The strength of this method is mathematical. It reduces cost. But it may take longer to feel the first victory, because high-interest debts are not always the smallest ones. Neither method is wrong. The best choice depends on you. If you need motivation and quick wins, the snowball may keep you moving. If you are patient and want to save the most money, the avalanche may feel right. What matters is choosing the method you can stay with. Debt is not cleared in a day or a week. It takes months and sometimes years. A method you follow with consistency will always be better than a method you abandon. Once you pick a method, you need to stay steady. This means making minimum payments on every debt to avoid penalties, then directing all extra toward your target balance. It means looking for ways to free up money in your budget to pay down more. It means being patient when progress feels slow. Each payment, no matter how small, moves you forward. Each time you send money to your debt, you are shrinking the shadow that has followed you. You are creating space for freedom. Sometimes, debt feels too heavy to face alone. In these cases, you can reach out for help. Creditors may have hardship programs. They may lower your interest rate or allow smaller payments for a time. Nonprofit credit counseling agencies exist to help people build repayment plans. They can negotiate with lenders and help you combine payments into one. These options are not a sign of failure. They are tools you can use when the load is too heavy. Asking for help does not mean giving up. It means you are committed to finding a way forward. As you pay down debt, notice the emotional shift. At first it feels endless, but as balances shrink, you feel lighter. The weight begins to lift. The shame begins to fade. Each cleared debt becomes proof of your ability. It becomes a story you can tell yourself when doubt returns. You will remember the time you thought it was impossible, and you will see the number 0 where once there was a balance. These small victories build strength, the same way your emergency savings build confidence. Debt repayment is also about protecting yourself from adding more. While you work on your plan, avoid taking on new, unnecessary debt. This might mean using cash or debit for daily expenses. It might mean saying no to some purchases until your foundation is stronger. Protect the progress you are making. Each dollar not borrowed is a step toward freedom. Each choice to wait is another layer of strength. Over time, you will begin to imagine life after debt. A paycheck without deductions for credit cards. A budget with more space for savings, joy, and future plans. That vision is important. Hold it close. Let it motivate you when progress feels slow. Remember that freedom is not only possible, it is already forming each time you pay. The shadow that once followed you grows smaller with each steady step. This chapter is about taking on the weight of debt with clarity and strategy. You have learned about the snowball and the avalanche, about asking for help when needed, and about protecting yourself from new debt. You have seen that repayment is not punishment, but a path to freedom. And you have felt how each payment changes not only your numbers, but your sense of self. You are no longer trapped. You are moving forward. And yet, even as you reduce your debt, there is another challenge to face. Life is full of risks that can undo progress. A sudden accident, an illness, or a loss can shake even the strongest plan. How do you protect the work you have done from being destroyed by events outside your control? That question leads to the next chapter, where you will learn about building shields to guard your progress and keep your foundation strong. The last chapter guided you through the heavy work of debt repayment. You learned that freedom comes not from rushing, but from steady choices made again and again. With each balance lowered, you created space for hope and peace. But progress can be fragile. A single accident, illness, or unexpected loss can erase months or even years of effort. This is why protection matters. A strong journey does not only move forward, it also guards what has been built. That guard is insurance. Insurance is often misunderstood. Many see it as another bill, another drain on income. But in truth, it is a shield. It is not there to make you rich. It is there to protect you from being broken by events beyond your control. When life throws the unexpected, insurance catches the weight, so you do not carry it alone. It is the partner that stands beside you, quiet until the day you need it most. Start with health insurance. Medical expenses are one of the leading reasons people fall into debt. A sudden illness or injury can create bills larger than many earn in a year. Health insurance is not perfect, and costs can feel high, but even basic coverage is better than none. It turns a devastating burden into something manageable. With insurance, you focus on healing instead of fearing every bill. Without it, a single night in the hospital can undo years of progress. Next is auto insurance if you drive. Cars are not only a way to travel, they are often necessary for work, for family, for daily life. Accidents happen quickly and without warning. Auto insurance protects you, protects others, and protects your ability to keep moving forward. Driving without it risks not only fines but also financial ruin if something goes wrong. With it, you know that one accident will not erase the path you are building. For those who rent, renter's insurance is another form of protection. It covers your belongings in case of fire, theft, or other damage. Many people overlook it, thinking they do not own enough to matter. But replacing clothes, furniture, or electronics after a loss is costly. A small monthly payment can give you the safety of knowing your home life can be restored after a disaster. For those who own a home, homeowner's insurance provides even greater protection. It guards not only the building itself, but also the investment you have made in it. Life insurance is also worth considering, especially if others depend on your income. It is not for you, but for the people you love. If something happens to you, life insurance ensures they are not left struggling with bills or debt. It replaces the security you once provided, giving your family time to adjust without financial panic. This form of care is one of the deepest acts of love you can give. Another type is disability insurance. Many people overlook it, but your ability to earn income is one of your greatest assets. If injury or illness prevents you from working, disability insurance steps in. It provides income when you cannot. Without it, even a short time away from work can create lasting damage. With it, you protect your progress and your peace of mind. Insurance works best when matched to your life stage and needs. You may not need every type right now. Start with the basics: health, auto, and renters, or homeowners. Add others as your responsibilities grow. The goal is not to cover every risk instantly. The goal is to protect the areas where a single event could undo everything you have worked for. That is where the shield is most important. It is easy to resent paying for something you hope never to use, but this is the nature of a shield. It stays quiet until the moment you need it. Think of the relief when a medical bill is covered, or when stolen items are replaced, or when a family is supported after loss. That relief is the reason insurance matters. It is the difference between disaster and resilience. Insurance also has an emotional side. It gives you the gift of rest. Without it, you may lie awake worrying about what would happen if something went wrong. With it, you can close your eyes knowing that even if life shifts suddenly, you have protection. This peace allows you to focus on building rather than fearing collapse. It gives you stability as you continue your journey forward. This chapter is about recognizing that progress is precious and deserves protection. You worked hard to create a budget. You saved for emergencies. You began to tackle debt. All of these gains can be swept away without shields in place. Insurance ensures that your story does not reset with every storm. It keeps you moving even when the road turns rough. Now that you understand how to protect your progress, another question comes forward. What do you do once the shield is in place? How do you grow beyond safety and into stability that multiplies? The next chapter will guide you into growth through investing, showing how money can begin to work for you while you rest and dream of the future. In the last chapter, you learned about shields. Insurance became your quiet partner, protecting the progress you worked so hard to build. You saw how those shields prevent life's storms from undoing months or even years of steady effort. With that protection in place, you can finally look beyond survival. You can begin to think about growth. Growth means allowing your money to do more than sit. It means teaching it to work for you while you rest, while you sleep, and while you live your daily life. This is where investing enters the journey. Investing can sound intimidating. Many hear the word and picture confusing charts, fast-talking experts, or risks too big to handle. But investing does not have to be complicated or frightening. At its heart, investing is simple. It is the act of putting money into something that has the potential to grow over time. It is the difference between placing seeds in the soil and leaving them on the shelf. One will sprout and expand. The other will remain the same. The first truth about investing is time. Time is the most powerful partner you have. The earlier you start, the more your money can grow. This is because of something called compounding. When your money earns returns, those returns begin to earn returns as well. Over years, the effect builds like layers. A small amount saved and invested today can become many times larger decades from now. The secret is patience. Investing is not about getting rich quickly. It is about growing steadily, year by year, until the future feels secure. The second truth is that risk and reward live together. Investing carries risk because markets rise and fall. The value of stocks or funds can go down as well as up. But over long periods, history shows that markets tend to rise. By accepting short-term ups and downs, you allow yourself to benefit from long-term growth. The key is not to panic when things dip. Fear often makes people sell when prices are low, locking in losses. Patience allows the market to recover and continue upward. There are many ways to invest, but for most people, simple options work best. Stocks represent ownership in companies. Bonds represent loans to governments or businesses. Mutual funds and index funds gather many stocks or bonds together, spreading out the risk. Index funds, in particular, have become a strong choice for beginners. They are low cost, easy to access, and provide exposure to a broad range of companies. By owning a little piece of many businesses, you share in the growth of the economy itself. Retirement accounts make investing even more effective. Accounts like 401ks or IRAs allow you to invest while also receiving tax advantages. Some employers even match contributions, which is like receiving free money toward your future. Using these accounts is one of the simplest ways to build long-term security. They encourage consistency, since money is contributed automatically with each paycheck. They also protect your growth from unnecessary taxes until later in life. The third truth about investing is that consistency matters more than perfection. Many people wait, believing they need to know everything before starting. Others hesitate, thinking they need large sums to begin. In reality, the most important step is to start with what you have. Even small amounts, invested regularly, grow over time. It is better to begin imperfectly than to delay endlessly. Starting now creates a habit. That habit, more than any single decision, shapes your future. Investing is not only about money, it is also about mindset. It requires trust in the future, patience during uncertainty, and the discipline to stay steady when emotions rise. You may feel fear when the market dips. You may feel greed when it soars. Both emotions can lead to mistakes. But when you return to your plan, when you remind yourself that investing is for decades, not days, you keep steady. That steadiness is what brings results. At times, people ask whether they should focus on paying debt or investing. The answer depends on the type of debt and interest rates. High-interest debt, like credit cards, usually comes first because it grows faster than investments. Lower-interest debt, like some student loans or mortgages, can sometimes be paid alongside investing. What matters is balance. You do not have to choose one or the other in extremes. You can build both safety and growth together as long as you stay consistent. Investing also ties back to your values. It is not only about reaching a number, it is about creating the life you want. Some people choose investments that support industries they believe in. Others focus on building enough to care for family or to retire with freedom. Knowing why you invest keeps you motivated. It reminds you that investing is not about chasing wealth for its own sake. It is about creating choices, security, and peace. As you begin, keep it simple. Automate contributions to your retirement accounts. Choose low-cost index funds. Contribute regularly whether the market is high or low. Stay patient during swings. Trust in time and consistency. These quiet steps, repeated over years, lead to powerful results. You may not notice the change at first, but slowly your balances grow. One day you will look back and see how far you have come. This chapter has shown you how to move from safety into growth. You learned that investing is not about complexity, but about patience. You saw the power of time, the importance of compounding, and the role of consistency. You understood that risk is part of growth, but with patience, it becomes manageable. And you saw that investing ties back to your values, giving purpose to your progress. But even as you begin to grow your wealth, another question arises. How do you bring all the pieces together? How do you take budgeting, saving, debt repayment, insurance, and investing, and weave them into a life that feels whole and balanced? The next chapter will guide you toward mastery, showing how to integrate every step into a steady and peaceful rhythm. The last chapter showed you how investing allows your money to grow over time. You learned that patience, consistency, and trust in the future create a harvest that supports your life. By now, you have built a map of your finances, designed a kind budget, saved for emergencies, tackled debt, protected your progress, and planted seeds of growth. Each step is powerful on its own, but the real strength comes when they work together. Integration is the art of bringing the pieces into balance, so they move in harmony instead of pulling you in different directions. At this point in the journey, you may feel both proud and overwhelmed. There are many moving parts. You track spending, pay down debt, save for the unexpected, invest for the future, and maintain protection. It is easy to wonder how to manage it all without losing clarity. The answer is rhythm. Integration is about finding a rhythm that fits your life, a steady beat you can follow without strain. Once this rhythm forms, money no longer feels scattered. It feels like a system that supports you quietly in the background. The first step in integration is revisiting your budget. Your budget is not fixed. It is a living guide that shifts with time. Look at how your emergency savings, debt payments, and investments fit within it. Ask yourself whether your plan feels balanced. Are you saving enough to feel secure? Are you paying down debt at a pace that gives relief? Are you contributing to investments in a way that builds your future? If one area feels neglected, adjust the others. Integration means none of these parts dominate. They share space in your life. The second step is automation. The more you can automate, the less energy you spend on daily choices. Have your paycheck direct money into savings before you see it. Set automatic transfers to pay debts each month. Schedule contributions to retirement accounts. Automating builds consistency and frees your mind from constant decision-making. It is like setting your rhythm on autopilot. The work still happens, but it no longer drains your focus. Integration also means aligning money with your values. By now, you have seen how numbers connect to emotions. Money touches every part of life. Ask yourself what matters most to you. Is it security for your family? Is it freedom to travel? Is it peace of mind in retirement? Your values give direction. When your budget, savings, debt repayment, insurance, and investments reflect those values, you feel more grounded. You stop comparing yourself to others because your path is shaped by your own priorities. Another key to integration is regular review. Life changes, jobs shift, families grow, expenses rise or fall. Set aside time to check in on your plan. Once a month, look at your spending and saving. Once a year, review your insurance and investments. These check-ins are not about perfection. They are about awareness. They keep you connected to your progress and allow you to make small adjustments before small problems grow into large ones. Integration also invites balance between today and tomorrow. Some people focus so much on paying debt that they deny themselves all joy. Others spend freely and neglect their future. True integration avoids extremes. It honors today by allowing space for simple pleasures, while also honoring tomorrow by building safety and growth. This balance creates peace. You enjoy your life now, knowing your future self is also cared for. The emotional side of integration is as important as the practical. You may notice that money no longer feels like an enemy. It feels like a tool. You no longer dread looking at accounts. You feel calmer when bills arrive. You see progress in your savings and investments, And that progress builds trust. The stress that once filled your nights begins to fade, replaced by quiet confidence. This emotional shift is the real gift of integration. As your plan becomes integrated, you also become more resilient. When a setback arrives, you do not panic. Your emergency fund is ready. Your insurance is in place. Your debt is shrinking, not growing. Your investments continue quietly in the background. Each piece supports the others. You are no longer vulnerable to every small storm. You bend, but do not break. This resilience is the mark of integration. At this stage, it can also help to share your journey with others. Talking about money was once taboo, but silence only adds shame. By sharing what you have learned, you not only strengthen your own understanding, but also encourage others. You may help a friend start their own budget or remind a loved one to build a safety net. These conversations create connection. They turn money from a source of isolation into a bridge of support. Integration is not a final destination. It is an ongoing practice. You will continue to adjust as life changes. You will continue to face choices that test your values. But with integration, you have a framework. Each choice fits into the larger rhythm. Each adjustment supports the whole system. Instead of reacting in chaos, you respond with calm. You know that every part of your financial life is working together for your well-being. This chapter has shown you how to weave the separate strands into a whole. You saw how budgeting, saving, debt repayment, insurance, and investing can fit together. You learned the importance of rhythm, automation, alignment with values, regular review, and balance between today and tomorrow. You felt the emotional peace that comes when money supports you instead of fighting you. Integration is the moment when your financial life becomes steady, reliable, and clear. And yet, even with all of this progress, something deeper remains. Numbers and systems matter, but they do not erase old wounds. Many people carry money shame from childhood, from family conflicts, or from past mistakes. To truly redesign your financial story, you must face those inner scars. How do you heal your relationship with money so that progress is not only external but also internal? That question leads to the next chapter, where emotional healing becomes the heart of the journey. The last chapter showed you how to bring all the pieces together. You saw how budgeting, saving, debt repayment, insurance, and investing can form a rhythm. That rhythm gave you stability and confidence. But even with a strong system in place, there can still be something hidden beneath the surface. Old feelings, old beliefs, old wounds around money can return when you least expect them. This chapter is about healing those inner parts, because true financial peace does not only come from numbers on a page, it comes from the way you feel about yourself when you look at those numbers. Many people carry money shame from childhood. Maybe you grew up hearing your parents argue about bills. Maybe you were told not to ask for things because money was tight. Maybe you saw others with more and felt less. These early messages stick. They shape how you think about money as an adult. You may spend quickly because saving feels impossible. You may avoid looking at statements because they bring anxiety. You may feel guilty even when you are financially stable because the old voice inside still whispers that money is always dangerous. Healing begins with noticing these patterns. Notice the words you say to yourself. Do you call yourself careless when you spend? Do you feel undeserving when you save? Do you believe you will always struggle no matter what? These thoughts are not truths. They are echoes from the past. They were formed by moments you could not control. You were a child learning from the environment around you. Healing starts with recognizing that those old beliefs do not have to define your present. You can write new beliefs slowly and gently. One way to heal is through self-compassion. Speak to yourself the way you would to someone you care for. If a friend told you they felt guilty for struggling, you would not shame them. You would remind them they are human. You would remind them that learning takes time. Give yourself that same kindness. Each time you face money, choose softer words. Replace "I am bad with money" with "I am learning new habits." Replace "I will never get ahead" with "I am building step by step." These shifts in language reshape your inner story. Another part of healing is facing comparison. In today's world, it is easy to see what others have. Social media shows vacations, homes, and luxuries. Without context, you may assume everyone else is doing better, but you do not see their debts or their struggles. Comparison steals peace. Healing means reminding yourself that your journey is unique. Your progress is not measured against others. It is measured against where you began. Look back at how far you have come. That is where your pride belongs. Forgiveness is also powerful. Forgive yourself for past mistakes. Maybe you overspent, borrowed too much, or ignored problems. Those choices were made with the knowledge you had then. Now you know more. Holding on to guilt will not change the past. Forgiving yourself makes room for growth. Forgive others too, if money caused pain in your family or relationships. Forgiveness does not excuse harm, but it releases you from carrying the burden of anger. It allows you to move forward without old weight pulling you back. Healing also comes from creating new rituals with money. Instead of only thinking of bills and stress, create moments of calm connection. Set aside time once a week to sit with your budget in a peaceful space. Play soft music, light a candle. Make it a moment of care, not fear. When you save money, pause and thank yourself for protecting your future. When you pay a bill, remind yourself that you are providing for your present. These small rituals change the way money feels. It stops being only a source of worry. It becomes part of a caring routine. Talking about money is another part of healing. Silence breeds shame. Speaking brings relief. Share with a trusted friend, a partner, or even a counselor. Tell them your fears, your goals, your progress. You may find they carry similar feelings. Money wounds are common, but rarely discussed. By opening up, you not only lighten your own burden, but also help others feel less alone. These conversations build community. They remind you that healing does not have to happen in isolation. As healing grows, you begin to redefine what wealth means to you. Instead of only thinking about dollars, you think about safety, peace, and freedom. Wealth becomes the ability to make choices without fear. It becomes the comfort of knowing you are cared for, both by your own planning and by the support of others. This new definition frees you from endless striving. It allows you to feel gratitude for what you have, even as you continue to build. This chapter has guided you through the inner work of healing money wounds. You have looked at childhood beliefs, replaced harsh thoughts with softer ones, forgiven yourself and others, created rituals, and opened the door to honest conversation. These steps do not erase pain overnight. Healing takes time. But each gentle choice builds a new relationship with money, one based on care instead of fear. Yet, as you heal your relationship with money, another need arises. Healing is personal, but progress often strengthens when shared. How do you bring your community into your journey? How do you build connections that replace isolation with support? The next chapter will show you how community becomes a force for financial resilience, and why no one is meant to walk this path alone. The last chapter guided you through the deep work of healing your relationship with money. You looked at old wounds, replaced shame with compassion, and began to see yourself with gentler eyes. That healing is personal, but progress grows stronger when shared. You do not have to walk this journey alone. In fact, trying to carry the weight of money struggles in silence makes it heavier. This chapter is about community, the support that lifts you when you are tired, the wisdom that guides you when you are uncertain, and the companionship that keeps you moving forward. Money has often been treated as a secret subject. Families whisper about it, friends avoid it, and workplaces discourage open conversation. This silence can make you feel isolated, as if you are the only one struggling. But the truth is different. Millions of people carry debt, live paycheck to paycheck, or feel anxious about savings. When you open up to others, you learn that your fears are shared. And when those fears are shared, they become lighter. Community begins with one honest conversation. It may be with a friend you trust, a family member who cares, or a group designed for support. The moment you say, "I am trying to get better with money," you break the silence. You may be surprised by the response. Often, people will open up about their own experiences. They may share mistakes, lessons, or encouragement. In that exchange, connection forms. You see that your journey is not strange, it is human. Support groups, online forums, or local community centers can also provide a place to share. These spaces gather people with similar goals. Some may be working to pay off debt. Others may be learning to budget or save. By listening to their stories, you gain perspective. You see strategies that worked for others. You also find motivation when you feel tired. Their victories remind you that progress is possible. Your victories, in turn, inspire them. This cycle of giving and receiving creates momentum for everyone involved. Community also brings accountability. It is easier to stay with a plan when someone is walking beside you. A friend can check in to ask how your budget is going. A group can celebrate with you when you reach a savings milestone. Knowing that others are aware of your goals gives you extra strength. You do not want to let yourself down, but you also do not want to let them down. This gentle accountability helps you stay steady through challenges. There is another gift in community. It helps replace comparison with connection. Alone, you may look at others and feel less. You may think they are doing better, earning more, or living easier lives. But when you hear their stories honestly, you realize they face struggles too. The picture on the outside rarely matches the truth inside. Sharing experiences breaks down the illusion of perfection. It reminds you that progress is messy for everyone. Building community does not always mean large groups. Sometimes it means creating a financial partnership with a spouse or partner. Many relationships face strain when money is not discussed openly. By bringing your partner into the conversation, you build trust and teamwork. Together, you can set goals, solve problems, and celebrate wins. This strengthens not only your finances but also your bond. Money becomes less of a divider and more of a shared path. For some, professional community is also important. Financial coaches, counselors, or advisors can provide guidance and structure. Speaking with a professional does not mean you have failed. It means you are committed to growth. These experts can help you see blind spots, avoid mistakes, and stay on course. They bring knowledge, but also reassurance that you are not navigating alone. Community also teaches generosity. When you receive support, you naturally want to give it. You may encourage a younger sibling to save. You may help a friend make their first budget. You may share resources with someone facing hardship. Each act of giving reinforces your own lessons. It reminds you of how far you have come and strengthens your sense of purpose. Money, once a source of shame, becomes a way to connect and uplift. The strength of community is not only practical, but also emotional. Knowing you have people who understand eases loneliness, hearing their stories normalizes your struggles. Celebrating together makes victories sweeter. Grieving setbacks together makes them bearable. This emotional support is what sustains you when numbers alone cannot. It is what turns a difficult journey into one that feels possible. This chapter has shown you how community can transform your financial life. By opening up, you break silence. By listening, you gain perspective. By sharing, you build accountability and connection. Alone, the weight of money feels crushing. Together, it feels lighter. Community turns shame into strength and isolation into belonging. And yet, even with community support, the journey is not finished. Support can guide you, but sometimes you still need structure. Sometimes you need clear steps and the wisdom of those trained to help. How do you know when it is time to seek professional guidance? What kind of help should you look for, and how can you use it wisely? The next chapter will explore the role of experts and mentors in your journey, showing how their guidance can add another layer of strength to your financial story. The last chapter explored the strength that comes from community. You saw how sharing your story breaks shame, how listening builds connection, and how accountability helps you stay steady. But even with supportive friends and groups, there are times when the path forward still feels unclear. Some challenges require more than encouragement. They require guidance from people who have studied money deeply and who dedicate their lives to helping others find balance. This chapter is about seeking professional support, learning when it is needed, and understanding how to use it wisely. Many people hesitate to reach out for professional help with money. They fear judgment. They fear being told what they already know. They fear the cost. These feelings are natural, but they should not stop you. Professionals are not there to shame you. They are there to bring clarity. They are not perfect, but their experience can shorten your journey and prevent mistakes that cost more in the long run. Reaching out is not failure. It is wisdom. The first type of professional support is credit counseling. Nonprofit credit counseling agencies help people create repayment plans, manage budgets, and negotiate with creditors. If debt feels overwhelming, a counselor can look at your full financial picture and suggest strategies that fit your life. They may help you consolidate payments into one, making them easier to manage. They may also work with lenders to reduce interest rates or fees. The goal is not to erase your responsibility, but to make the burden lighter and more realistic. Another type of professional support is financial planning. A financial planner helps you look at long-term goals like retirement, home ownership, or education savings. They create plans that show how your current actions can lead to those future outcomes. Some charge fees, while others earn commissions from the products they recommend. It is important to ask how they are paid, so you understand their motives. A good planner is transparent, patient, and willing to explain in clear language. They should not rush you, they should guide you. For more complex needs, financial therapists exist. These professionals understand both money and psychology. They help you explore the emotions behind your financial habits. They work with you on the inner struggles like shame, fear, or compulsive spending. If you find yourself repeating the same patterns, even when you know better, a financial therapist can help uncover the root causes. Their role is not only to give advice, but also to heal the relationship between your emotions and your money. Legal professionals may also play a role at certain times. If you face bankruptcy, foreclosure, or serious disputes, an attorney ensures your rights are protected. Bankruptcy lawyers, for example, guide you through the process if it becomes necessary, explaining what debts can be discharged and what steps you need to take. They help you understand consequences and options. Legal guidance can feel intimidating, but it can also protect you from worse outcomes when the stakes are high. Sometimes, professional support comes in smaller forms. A tax preparer can make sure you file correctly and claim all deductions available to you. An insurance agent can help you choose coverage that matches your life. Even a banker or credit union representative can answer questions about accounts, loans, or savings products. Professionals exist at many levels, from simple services to deep guidance. Each has value when used at the right time. The most important part of seeking help is knowing what you need. If debt feels crushing, begin with a counselor. If your emotions block your progress, consider a financial therapist. If you are planning long-term goals, look to a planner. If you face legal risk, speak to an attorney. You do not need every type of support at once. You choose based on your situation, your goals, and your struggles. When working with professionals, remember that you are in control. They can advise, but the decisions are yours. Ask questions. If you do not understand, ask again. A good professional will never make you feel small for needing clarity. They will explain until you feel confident. They will respect your pace and your boundaries. If you feel pressured, you have the right to step away. Guidance should feel supportive, not forceful. Professional support also builds confidence. Knowing that someone with knowledge has looked at your finances and given guidance can ease anxiety. It reassures you that you are not missing something important. It affirms that you are on the right path or shows you where to adjust. This confirmation brings peace. It lets you move forward with trust in both yourself and the plan you follow. This chapter has shown you the value of professional support. Credit counselors, financial planners, therapists, legal experts, and other professionals can provide structure, wisdom, and relief. Asking for help is not weakness, it is strength. It means you are committed to progress and willing to use every resource available. You are not walking blindly, you are guided. Yet even with professional support, the journey is not without challenges. The next step is about resilience, about building the inner strength to keep going when setbacks arrive. How do you develop grit and patience? How do you continue when the path feels long and progress feels slow? The next chapter will show you the psychological tools that keep heroes moving forward, even in the hardest moments. The last chapter guided you toward professional support. You learned how counselors, planners, and therapists can bring clarity to difficult decisions. Their wisdom shortens the path and helps you avoid mistakes. Yet even with expert help, the journey is not smooth. Life continues to bring surprises. Plans are tested by setbacks. Emotions rise when progress feels slow. This is where inner strength becomes essential. This chapter is about grit and resilience, the qualities that allow you to keep going when the path feels longer than you expected. Grit begins with choice. It is the decision to keep moving forward, even when results are not immediate. It is sending one more payment to a loan, even though the balance still feels large. It is putting $10 more into savings, even though the account looks small. Each of these actions seems ordinary, but together they build extraordinary strength. Grit is the quiet force that says, I will keep trying, no matter how small the step feels today. Resilience grows from the way you respond to setbacks. A broken car, a medical bill, or a job change can shake your stability. Without resilience, these moments feel like failure. With resilience, they become part of the journey. You tell yourself, this is not the end, it is only a pause. You accept that progress bends and shifts, but does not vanish. Resilience means learning to see setbacks as temporary, not permanent. It is the ability to adapt without losing hope. Patience is another form of resilience. Money takes time to grow. Savings build slowly. Debt shrinks gradually. Investments flourish over decades. Impatience can lead to quitting before the results arrive. Patience allows you to trust the process. It reminds you that the small actions today are planting seeds you will harvest tomorrow. With patience, you stop demanding quick results and start valuing steady progress. Flexibility supports patience. Plans cannot remain rigid because life will not stay still. A flexible mindset allows you to adjust without losing your direction. If income changes, you reshape your budget. If an expense rises, you shift your priorities. If an investment falls, you wait instead of panicking. Flexibility turns roadblocks into detours. It prevents discouragement by reminding you that progress can take different forms. Reflection also builds resilience. Looking back at the road already traveled gives strength for the road ahead. Remember when you first opened your bills without fear. Remember the relief of saving your first $100. Remember the pride of paying off a debt. These memories are proof that you are capable. When doubt whispers that you cannot continue, reflection answers, I already have, and I will again. Connection strengthens grit. The community you built earlier is more than encouragement. It is a reminder that you are not walking alone. Friends, family, or groups keep you accountable when you feel tired. They celebrate with you when you win, and they remind you of your goals when you forget. Borrow their strength when yours feels low. Connection gives resilience, room to grow by sharing the weight across many shoulders. Self-care is also vital. Stress weakens resilience. Without rest, even the strongest willpower fades. Caring for your body and mind restores energy for the journey. Sleep replenishes focus. Movement reduces stress. Healthy meals fuel your effort. Time for calm resets your spirit. These are not luxuries. They are part of building strength. A strong foundation inside allows you to keep building stability outside. Purpose is what ties all of this together. Without purpose, grit feels like struggle for its own sake. With purpose, grit feels meaningful. Ask yourself why you are building financial stability. Is it for your family? Is it for peace of mind? Is it for freedom to choose how to live your days? When your actions are tied to a deeper reason, the effort feels worthwhile. Purpose turns sacrifice into devotion. It transforms endurance into progress. Resilience does not mean you never feel discouraged. It means discouragement does not decide for you. Grit does not mean you never stumble. It means you rise again after falling. Together, they keep you steady on the long road. They allow you to keep planting, saving, paying, and protecting, even when results are not yet visible. They remind you that progress is not about speed, but about consistency. This chapter has shown you how grit and resilience grow. Through choice, patience, flexibility, reflection, connection, self-care, and purpose, you build inner strength. This strength carries you through setbacks and helps you continue when progress feels slow. It turns financial growth into a steady journey, one that does not break under pressure. Yet, even with resilience, there is another challenge waiting. Along the path, you will hear myths about money. You will encounter advice that sounds helpful. Misconceptions can slow your progress or pull you in the wrong direction. How do you know what is true? How do you protect yourself from beliefs that waste your effort? The next chapter will shine a light on the myths of money and reveal the truths that replace them. The last chapter helped you see how grit and resilience keep you steady on the long journey. You learned that setbacks do not end the story, and patience allows progress to grow quietly over time. But even with resilience, there is another obstacle on the path. Misunderstandings about money are everywhere. Some come from family, some from culture, some from companies that profit when you stay confused. These myths can hold you back, even when you are working hard. This chapter is about shining a gentle light on those false beliefs and replacing them with truths that guide you forward. One common myth is that debt will never end, so there is no point in trying. Many people look at their balances and believe they will carry them forever. This belief steals motivation before it begins. The truth is different. Debt is heavy, but it does shrink with steady payments. Each dollar you send lowers the weight. Each month you commit builds momentum. Even the largest debt can be cleared over time, especially when you use a clear strategy like the snowball or avalanche method. The myth tells you to give up. The truth tells you to start small and keep going. Another myth is that saving only matters when you can set aside large amounts. People often think that $10 or $20 is too small to make a difference. They wait until they earn more before they begin, but waiting keeps them stuck. The truth is that small savings grow, both in numbers and in confidence. Saving a little creates a habit. That habit continues when income grows, and the amounts become larger. The myth says small is useless. The truth says small is the beginning of everything. There is also the myth that investing is only for the rich. This belief keeps many people from building long-term security. They think they need thousands before they can start, so they never begin. The truth is that investing is for anyone with even a few dollars to spare. Retirement accounts allow contributions in small amounts. Index funds give exposure to hundreds of companies with a single purchase. Starting early, even with little, creates growth that compounds over decades. The myth says investing is out of reach. The truth says time is more important than size. A painful myth is that mistakes mean you are bad with money. People believe one wrong choice proves they will always fail. This belief feeds shame and silence. The truth is that mistakes are part of learning. Everyone overspends, forgets a bill, or makes a poor investment at some point. These moments do not define you. They are lessons that help you adjust. The myth says you are broken. The truth says you are growing. Another myth is that budgeting means cutting out all joy. Many avoid budgeting because they believe it will take away everything fun. They picture a life of endless sacrifice and no freedom. The truth is that a kind budget includes joy. It gives space for meals with friends, hobbies, and small pleasures. It teaches balance, not deprivation. By planning joy into your spending, you enjoy it without guilt. The myth says budgeting is punishment. The truth says budgeting is freedom. There is also the myth that talking about money is shameful. Silence is passed down through families, and many grow up believing money should never be discussed. This myth creates isolation and confusion. Without conversation, people repeat the same mistakes and carry the same fears. The truth is that talking about money creates connection and learning. Conversations with trusted friends or partners replace shame with support. Speaking openly turns a hidden struggle into a shared journey. The myth says, keep quiet. The truth says, share and grow. Another false belief is that credit reports cannot recover. People think one bankruptcy, foreclosure, or missed payment will ruin them forever. The truth is that credit heals over time. Negative marks fade, and consistent positive actions rebuild trust. Paying on time, keeping balances low, and using credit carefully all help scores rise. Even after serious setbacks, many rebuild strong credit within a few years. The myth says you are ruined. The truth says you can rebuild. Some believe that financial success requires perfection. They think one slip ruins the whole plan. This belief creates pressure that leads to giving up. The truth is that progress is built on imperfection. You will miss goals, adjust budgets, and face unexpected costs. Each time, you simply begin again. Success is not about never falling. It is about rising each time you do. The myth says one mistake ends it all. The truth says resilience matters more than perfection. These myths shape the way people see money, but they do not have to define you. When you replace myths with truths, you remove invisible walls. You give yourself permission to start small, to recover, to talk openly, and to try again after mistakes. This shift clears the path for steady progress. It also brings peace. You no longer carry the weight of false beliefs. You move with clarity, guided by what is real. This chapter has helped you see how myths can hold you back and how truth frees you. You learned that debt can end, small savings matter, investing is for everyone, mistakes are lessons, budgets allow joy, talking builds strength, credit recovers, and perfection is not required. Each truth replaces fear with possibility. Each truth gives you more space to breathe. Yet even with myths cleared away, one final step remains. You have faced crisis, built a budget, saved for emergencies, tackled debt, protected your progress, invested for growth, healed old wounds, built community, sought guidance, and learned resilience. The journey now turns toward the future. How do you embrace your new financial life fully? How do you live as the hero of your own story, carrying both wisdom and peace? The next chapter will show you how to step into that new life with calm and confidence. By replacing them with truth, you created a clearer path. Now you stand at the doorway of something new. You have walked through fear, shame, and confusion. You have built tools, habits, and resilience. It is about embracing the role of hero in your own story, not because you are perfect, but because you kept going. It means you meet struggles with calm instead of panic. You still face bills, but now you know how to plan for them. You still see setbacks, but now you know they are temporary. You still make choices, but now you make them with awareness instead of avoidance. The difference is not in what life gives you, but in how you respond. This is the strength you have earned. Living your new financial life begins with peace of mind. You can check your bank account without fear. You can open mail without dread. You can talk about money without shame. These simple acts, once heavy, now feel lighter. They are signs of freedom. They are reminders that you no longer live in silence or denial. You live in honesty, and honesty gives you control. Each time you adjust it, you feel more capable. The budget is not a cage. It is a guide, and it moves with you. Each refill builds confidence. This small cushion is more than money. It is a symbol of care, a reminder that you are ready for life's surprises. Your debt has begun to shrink. Maybe some balances are gone, while others are smaller. You feel closer to freedom. You are no longer trapped. You are moving toward release. You know that illness, accidents, or loss cannot undo all your work. It is a partner you trust, and it allows you to focus on growth. You know that each contribution is a seed, and the harvest will come with years of care. This long view gives you calm. It reminds you that your future self is being supported by the actions you take today. You no longer repeat the harsh voices of the past. You forgive mistakes, learn from them, and continue. You practice rituals of care, whether by reviewing your budget calmly or celebrating each saving milestone. Money is no longer a source of shame. It is part of your life, steady and clear. Friends, family, or groups walk beside you. You share your progress, and they share theirs. Accountability keeps you steady. Connection keeps you strong. You are part of something larger. You learn from others, and you teach by example. Together, you create a culture of openness that replaces shame with trust. With support, you move forward with confidence. You know that guidance is there when you need it, and that knowledge keeps you calm. Resilience anchors you. You no longer expect perfection. You expect progress. You know that setbacks will come, and you know you will rise after them. You trust your ability to adapt, to wait, to adjust, and to continue. You no longer fear the long road. You accept it, and you walk it with steady steps. It is not a final destination, but a way of living. You embrace your new financial life by carrying all the lessons with you. You know that your worth is not measured by money, but by the care you give yourself and others. You have gone from crisis to clarity, from silence to honesty, from fear to peace. And yet, even heroes must rest. Even journeys need moments of stillness. As you step into your new financial life, how do you pause to reflect? How do you celebrate your growth? And how do you carry this peace forward into tomorrow? The final conclusion will guide you into that rest, showing you how to close this story with calm, gratitude, and hope for the chapters still to come. You have walked through every chapter of this story. You began in the fog of crisis, where money felt heavy and shame filled the silence. You learned to pause and show compassion to yourself, replacing harsh judgment with gentle care. You mapped your financial landscape, designed a kind budget, built a safety net, and faced debt with steady courage. You placed shields of protection around your progress and planted seeds for the future through investing. You healed old wounds, found strength in community, sought professional guidance, and built resilience for the long road. You cleared away the myths that once trapped you, and finally, you embraced a new financial life. Now, here you are at the close of this journey. You may notice that the story was never only about money. It was always about you. It was about the way you see yourself when you struggle, the way you rise when you stumble, and the way you care for your future self even when the present feels heavy. The numbers mattered, but the meaning mattered more. This story showed you that money is not your enemy. It is a tool, one you can learn to use with calm and clarity. Think about how far you have come. At the start, the thought of opening a bill filled you with dread. Now, you can face numbers with honesty. At the start, you felt alone in your struggle. Now, you know others walk this path too. At the start, you doubted whether you could begin again. Now you have proof that starting over is not only possible, but powerful. The person who began this journey is not the same as the one who finishes it. You are stronger, wiser, and gentler with yourself. Living with financial peace does not mean you will never feel stress again. Life will still bring surprises. Budgets will still need adjusting. Savings will sometimes dip. Debt may take time to fully clear. Markets will rise and fall. But the difference is that you are no longer afraid. You know how to respond. You know how to steady yourself. You know that setbacks are not endings, but pauses. You carry resilience that will see you through. Rest is part of this new life. Rest allows you to release the constant tension that money once held over you. Rest gives your body and mind space to heal from years of worry. Tonight, as you settle into quiet, let yourself rest in the truth that you are no longer standing in crisis. You are standing on the path of growth. Even if the journey continues, you are moving forward, and that is enough. This is also a moment to celebrate. Celebration is not only for the end of debt or the full savings goal, it is for every small victory. It is for every payment made, every dollar saved, every conversation had, every myth unlearned. Celebration is a reminder that progress is already here. You do not need to wait until every box is checked. You can honor yourself now for each step that brought you here. As you carry forward, remember the lessons of this story. Be kind to yourself when you make mistakes. Stay patient when progress is slow. Keep your community close and do not fear asking for help. Protect what you build and allow time to grow your seeds. Speak truth over myths and let resilience guide your steps. Above all, remember that wealth is not about perfection. It is about safety, freedom, and peace of mind. Tonight, as the story closes, you can release the pressure to solve everything at once. You have already begun. You have already shifted the way you see money and the way you see yourself. That is enough for today. Let that truth carry you into rest. Tomorrow, you will wake with new clarity, knowing your financial story is still being written and you are the author of every page. So breathe deeply. Allow the words to soften into silence. You are learning, you are growing, you are worthy of rest. And tomorrow, the path will still be here, waiting for your steady steps.